Why do ultramarines look so fucking lame? I mean, they have a whole game just for them. They are on every single Warhammer box art, but still, they look like Smurfs. So in this video, I'm gonna try to make ultramarines not lame, breaking down every single step and using some colors that probably, maybe you won't expect. I started with a base coat of 1 part Oxford from AK Interactive and 1 part black. I wanted a pretty dark base coat to start from, which I'm gonna enrich later with some glazes. In order to better understand the different consistency I used in this video, please download the consistency cheat sheet that you will find in the description down below. I then start layering up the highlights using a mix of Oxford and lilac. I'd say these two colors are kind of the equivalent of the Fang and Fertesian Grey from Citadel. I mix in a 1:1 ratio, and yes, you heard correctly the name of the paint, lilac. Weird, huh? There's actually a reason why most ultramarine look lame and flashy Smurfs, but more on that later. In the meanwhile, I just sketched the volumes on the model, using relaxed brushstrokes and semi-transparent consistency that I like to call strong glaze layer. This wet consistency allows me to see the layer I'm building up, while also leaving a bit of that transparency that will help me blend later on in the process. As you can see, I'm covering slightly less than half of the surface to create a good contrast from the start. If you have any doubts about where to place your highlights for your Space Marines, I have a guide for that you can also check down in the description. Of course, if you want to go more gradually and, well, slow, you can by just adding an intermediate step with pure Oxford before painting with the 1:1 mix. Even though the paint is not super covering, you will still need to blend. I thinned down some of the Oxford to a fat glaze consistency to clean up those edges where the first layer meets with the base coat. With this consistency, you should be able to cover in pretty much one pass the transition between the two, but with me being kind of sloppy, you can see I don't nail the consistency perfectly each time. I tend to move fast and rush into things, and there you go, mistakes happen. So no worries though, because even if you do thin down too much your paint, you just need to do a couple of passes more. No biggie. Moving on to the second layer, I mix more of that lilac into the Oxford and I layer up with the same consistency as the first one. But this time you can notice I also feather more on the edges when I apply the paint, so I can speed up things. I don't know. Also remember, it's completely okay for layers to slightly overlap. I said slightly. Slightly, John, come on, god damn it. The more time you spend in the previous step, the smoother the result and the less cleanup you'll need to have to do at the end. But you know me, I'm gonna do the bare minimum. Next, I was kinda bored with this stuff, so I just started base coating other details present on the miniature. I used gold for the trims, leather brown from Army Painter for the purity seals, gammon things, corn red for the waxy part of the purity seals, ropes. And okay, I'm not just doing this out of boredom, but I also do it because I think it's useful at some point to get a 360 view of the model. It really helps with the readability of the piece as a whole, you know. After all that, I go back to layering up with pure lilac this time. I mostly don't need to add shading with black lining. Strangely, I've been kinda careful in applying the layers, so the dark base coat I painted in the beginning is functioning as shadow with no problem. Here it's a bit of a back and forth with applying the highlight, feathering the edges, cleaning up with Oxford blue or whatever. And here the thinner the filter you apply, the less important the color you use is, so yeah. But yeah, here it's kind of a little bit of back and forth. And it's really up to you to decide how far you want to take this. You can go on glazing and refining for a long time, or you can do like I did and just do a couple of passes and then put decals on. And then I have a semi-quick paint job, but still kind of cool. Off camera, I'm gonna do some more refinement and hedge highlights, but first I need to show you the most important step for this marine, which is gonna be the glazing in the shadows. At the beginning, I said there's a reason why most ultramarines look the way they do. Lame. That's because most people are not using the colors they're meant to be using. Ultramarines take their name from the Imperium they govern, but also from the color, ultramarine blue. Most people depict ultramarines with cyan and very vivid blues, which in terms make ultramarines look like Smurfs. It's okay, they're cool, don't get me wrong. Ultramarine blue sits more towards the purple of the color wheel, not the green side. So that's why I use a lilac to highlight and a dark violet to shade. The result will be completely different. To me, they look way more grimdark and they fit more their setting. And they're no longer kinda lame Smurfs. It's fucking hard to take that dude seriously when they look like Smurfs. Ain't it? So the armor is pretty much done. I take care of the other details, starting with a little wash on the gold parts using contrast wildwood plus contrast medium to thin it down. I wanted to use an actual shade, but I really didn't want it to get up. I paint the patterns on the Roman-like helmet using corn red and neutral gray, highlighting them with Mephiston and pale gray. I then highlighted the wax on the purity seals, the lenses, and other red details, also with Mephiston red, adding some yellow for the final highlights on the lenses. I used buff from AK mixed with leather brown from Army Painter to highlight the parchments, but the interesting part was honestly the writing on the parchments. First off, I clearly suck at lettering, but what I didn't suck at was painting the mini writing thing. I actually enjoy this. I mix a little bit of the black with some dark umber. Here is all about a balance between consistency of the paint and the pressure you apply with the brushstroke. The tip can dry really fast if you don't have enough water in the mix. So it's a pretty complex thing because it's not just about one skill, but many, too many. I am working on how to explain this properly, so subscribe, no? I block in the metallic parts with metallic paint, and then I shaded them with contrast black Templar. Time for the power sword, which I started with a base coat of emerald and black mixed together. I like the Roman vibe of this sword. I then layered up pure emerald, adding some kind of bonish color, at some point probably buff, to paint the final highlights in. And don't forget the hedges. After putting some decals on, it was time for the base. And I was finally eager to try the marble effect. The one with the baby wipes thing. But look. I don't need to show you this, okay? I don't need to show you. Let's just say, let's not say anything, okay? Anything. So I just continued the patterns of the marble by hand, going back and forth between the bonish color and the emerald black mix. The towel that I used was wet. That's why I think it didn't work. I'm gonna try again. Maybe one day when I'm less traumatized. I put the metal on the base without pinning it because I didn't feel like it. And that's it. That's the model done. There you go. Actually make Ultramarines look cool. Are you gonna try this game out? Are you? Or no? I would love to know. But anyway, if Ultramarines aren't your thing at the end of the day, here's some other chapters I painted in a grimdark style, so check that out. I'll see you there. Or you'll see past me, sloppy past me there